Looking it up online, trying to find out what was going on. Next thing we find out, it was a serving warrant, and the marshal got shot. And luckily, he's going to come to find out he's going to be okay. But
as you can see from that crime scene behind me, still an active scene, even with that law enforcement kind of dying down just a bit. But we'll keep you updated as the investigation
continues. Apart from the Georgia State Patrol. Back on August the 20th, the city experienced the loss of one of the citizens in a domestic motivated homicide. We lost on that day Courtney Reeves. The very next day, the Atlanta Police Department issued arrest warrants for Derek Rankins, who we knew to be very dangerous and posing a threat to this community. This morning, the Southeastern Fugitive Task Force, led by the U.S. Marshals, which is comprised of members of the Atlanta Police Department, as well as the Georgia State Patrol, went to a location in Stockbridge, Georgia, where we believe Mr. Rankins to be held up. At that location, Mr. Rankins opened fire.
So with y'all, so look, man, I'm back again with another video, and this is a quick update on the whole situation with Courtney Reeves. If you don't know who Courtney Reeves is, it's the mother who lost her life the other day on the Ring camera that's going viral everywhere. And if you don't know exactly what video I'm talking about, you could look it up before it gets taken down, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to take it down, and a lot of websites won't let it be played. But basically, long story short, if you don't know what took place, it's a situation where a young lady was outside, a guy walked up, he actually, shot her, and he did it 10 times. And I mean, him doing that was just crazy to me. It's just sad and unfortunate that she had to lose her life in that manner. And a lot of conspiracy theories are out there about what took place, why he did it, and things like that. There was a couple of people trying to tell me that they know what happened and things like that, but I don't go off of speculations. A lot of people that's telling you what happened wasn't nowhere near these people. The only person who can really tell you what really took place is the person who took her life. You feel me? That's just how I feel about it. Everybody can go with their speculations. I ain't running with it. I'm going off of, what the police tell us and stuff like that. But they not even getting into the details and things like that, because I think that they just don't like the fact that this took place the way that it did. That's the main thing that should be on the, blogs and different things like that. If you don't know, this is not a blog channel. This is a reaction channel, but I do stories like this also. But anyway, man, squash all that, So the guy's name was Derek Rankins, and he ultimately ended up losing his life today also. And the way that he lost his life, they don't know exactly, but they were serving a search warrant. He started firing at the police. He hit one of the police, and he ended up passing away too. They don't know if it's one of their guys who took him out or if he took himself out. But anyway it goes, he wasn't needed no way if he is the person who did this. And I'm only saying that because we really just don't know, because they were serving a search warrant. None of the evidence was presented and things like that. But the family did speak out before he was caught, basically just talking about her, how she was loved and things like that. And I just really hate that she lost her life in this manner, man. And I know to actually see a loved one lose their life like this gotta be one of the most horrific things that you can witness. And to actually see the video circulating all over line, it's got to be one of the most frustrating things as well, because people ain't finna take it down. That's just how it is. Once it hits the internet, it's on the internet. But basically I got a I about to say interrogation video. I got a conference at the end of this with the police officer speaking on certain things and stuff like that. They didn't get too many details on a lot of different stuff, but they do have him headed to the morgue now, and I'm pretty sure a lot more details will come out. This is just like a breaking news type of update. We're finna watch what they got going on right now, but I do want to know your thoughts and opinions on this. And also I want to say, don't believe everything that you hear. People are just making up certain things, especially on Facebook. And tell the truth. But if you don't know, it's okay to say you don't know what took place. That's what I be saying all the time. If I really don't know, even if I do know, I ain't finna tell them. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go off what they say. You feel me? But yeah, ultimately that's all I gotta say so far. But I'm gonna talk to y'all throughout the video. Probably if I don't, I'll holler at y'all on another video. But this is just basically everything that's been going on today with that dude, and the other day with the family speaking on the situation. But other than that, let's get into it.
Developing tonight, trying to hold on to the happy moments while working through their grief after a mother of 4 was shot and killed on Tuesday night.
Now the community is rallying around the family of 32-year-old Courtney Reeves. 11 Alive's Angelina Salcido joining us live tonight from Atlanta Police Headquarters. And Angelina, you spoke with many of those who knew and loved Courtney.
And this is the very first time that we are hearing from them. Her younger sister tells me that she was vibrant and she always kept a smile on her face. Courtney shot and killed in Atlanta just months after one of her sisters was shot and killed in DeKalb tonight. This family tells me neither one of them deserved to die this way.
She was a vibe, the life of the party.
Her infectious smile is keeping her grieving family's spirit high.
She was everybody's hype man. She was everybody's cook.
Courtney Reeves remembered tonight with purple balloons, music, and love.
It's a party. It's a celebration like she would have had any other day.
Lena is Courtney's older sister.
She didn't deserve this. Her kids will miss her sisters, her brother, her dad, her mom.
The 32-year-old shot 10 times at this home along Springside Drive, south of Cleveland Avenue, Tuesday night. Flowers are now in the place she took her last breath. In a video too graphic to play, Courtney pleads with someone before shots are fired. That person ran away. No arrests have been made.
Her life was cut short, but the children still are here. They still got to be provided for.
Courtney leaves behind 3 girls, just 13, 9, and 6 years old, and an 11-year-old son.
She was a great mother, and we want them to have everything that we knew that she was going to do for them.
Their life is her legacy.
Courtney was joy. She was love. She was a protector. She was, a provider.
Now, Atlanta police still investigating this case. They really want anybody from the community that has valuable information, saw or heard anything, to submit tips to them. Meanwhile, this family is working to provide for Courtney's kids. They're also trying to plan her funeral. We have a link to how you can help them in this story on our website. We're live tonight in Atlanta. Angelina Salcido, 11 Alive News.
Back to breaking news we've been following involving an Atlanta police officer shot today.
So we heard from Molly Oak. Now we want to head out to 11 Alive's Joe Ripley, who is live at Grady Hospital. Joe, any update on this officer's condition?
Well, as you mentioned, this Atlanta police officer was shot while helping to execute a search warrant in Stockbridge. That's Henry County. Right now, though, he remains in Grady Hospital behind me recovering. We're told by Atlanta's police chief, Darren Shearbaum, that officer is expected to be okay. He is expected to recover. Henry County Sheriff's Office helicopter actually flew this 18-year APD veteran and investigator right here to Grady. This is all tied to a search warrant in Henry County. A regional task force led by U.S. Marshals executed this search warrant this morning in Stockbridge for Derek Rankins. He is accused of shooting and killing Courtney Reeves 1 week ago near Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. Reeves was a mother of 4. She was just 32 years old, shot at least 10 times, according to police. She had lost a sister just months ago. Police say they identified Rankins as a suspect, and tonight, Chief Shearbaum says Rankins is dead after an hours-long standoff.
This is what we train for. We recruit men and women who have a quality to stand in the gap for their communities. We train weekly and regularly to make sure when an individual who poses harm to community doesn't want to go back to jail, that we can do so with the least risk to the citizens in the area.
Shearbaum says tonight no other officers were injured while this search warrant was being executed in Stockbridge, though it's still unclear tonight if Rankins shot himself or if police shot and killed him. That remains under investigation by the GBI. We're live outside Grady Hospital in Atlanta. Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
Yeah, just so glad to hear that officer is going to recover. Joe, thanks so much. And we will, of course, continue to stay on top of this story throughout our evening.
Breaking news out of Henry County. An Atlanta police officer shot while serving a warrant with the U.S. Marshals.
That's right. And in the last few hours, we've learned that the suspect, who is now dead, was wanted by APD for the recent killing to a mother of 4 children. 32-year-old Courtney Reeves was shot multiple times last week along Springside Drive in southeast Atlanta. The shooting captured on a nearby Ring doorbell camera, and it showed that suspect firing at least 10 shots even after Reeves collapsed. Well, in the past hour, Reese's father told 11 Alive that he doesn't wish death upon anyone, but said, quote, "This was the best outcome because this guy was a danger to others while on the run."
We have live team coverage for you tonight. Molly Oak is live from the scene in Henry County with more on what led to this turn of events. But we're going to kick things off with Joe Ripley outside Grady Hospital. So, Joe, do we know the officer's condition right now?
Yes, we understand. According to Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shearbaum, the Atlanta police officer shot while helping to execute the search warrant in Stockbridge is currently getting treatment after he was shot in the arm. He is expected to be okay, though. We did see a number of law enforcement show up here to pay their respects and show solidarity in supporting this officer as he recovers. It was an 18-year APD veteran, Shearbaum said, that was sent here to Grady Hospital, flown by a Henry County Sheriff's Office helicopter helicopter. This, of course, is all tied to a search warrant in Henry County. A regional task force led by U.S. Marshals executed the search warrant this morning in Stockbridge for Derek Rankins. He is the man accused of shooting and killing Courtney Reeves 1 week ago near Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta. Reeves was a mother of 4. She was just 32 years old, shot at least 10 times. She had lost her sister just months before that. Police say they identified Rankins as a suspect, and tonight Chief Shearbaum says Rankins is dead after an hours-long standoff.
This is what we train for. We recruit men and women who have a quality to stand in the gap for their communities. We train weekly and regularly to make sure when an individual who poses harm to community doesn't want to go back to jail, that we can do so with the least risk to the citizens in the area.
And tonight, Shearbaum says no other officers were injured throughout this search warrant execution. It's still unclear tonight, though, whether Rankins shot himself or whether officers fired and shot and killed him. The GBI still has that under investigation. We're live outside Grady Hospital in Atlanta. Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
All right, Joe, thanks a lot. By the way, 11 Alive's Molly O continuing our team coverage live from Henry County. And Molly, dozens of law enforcement officers have been on the scene for most of the afternoon.
Yeah, Ron, when we first got out to the scene hours ago, law enforcement was just covering this neighborhood. And while their presence has definitely dwindled, I want you to take a look at this video from the scene earlier. They have been focused on a home off Linden Lane in the Swan Lake subdivision in Henry County. Now, Atlanta Police Department says APD's fugitive unit, Georgia State Patrol, and the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force were serving a warrant out of Atlanta. And that's when an Atlanta police officer was shot and hospitalized. Now, we know multiple agencies responded to this shooting because from our initial vantage point, we saw Henry County Police, Henry County Sheriff, Clayton County Sheriff, Fulton County Sheriff, GBI, and Georgia State Patrol all on scene.
And then more and more cars kept coming, and I finally found where everything was, and then I got stuck, and come to find out, my wife was looking it up online, trying to find out what was going on. Next thing we found out, it was serving a murder warrant, and the marshal got shot, and luckily he's gonna come to find out he's gonna be okay, but.
As you can see from that crime scene behind me, still an active scene, even with that law enforcement kind of dying down just a bit. But we'll keep you updated as the investigation continues out here in Henry County. For now, reporting live, Molly Oak, 11 Alive News.
All right, Molly, thanks a lot for the update there.
Investigative reporter Zach Merchant joining us live now. So, Zach, we're learning more about what's happening with these law enforcement officers. What more can you tell us tonight?
Well, tonight we're talking about the Southeast Regional Fugitive Task Force. It is led by the U.S. Marshals Service, but it includes law enforcement officers from lots of different local agencies, including APD. And tonight we spoke with Thaddeus Johnson. He's a GSU criminology professor. He's also a former law enforcement officer, and he says that task force specializes in a particular kind of work.
When they get involved, either it's a very high risk warrant that they're serving, or it's very complicated. Has a lot of moving parts where you need to tactically coordinate where you can hit these places at certain times so people can't be tipped off, so you can bring people to justice.
You know, Zach, this is very difficult for law enforcement officers on the scene. You talked to Johnson about the risk of being an officer in that situation. What did you learn?
His answer sort of came in two parts, and you've got to remember he's a law enforcement vet himself. Yeah. He says from a purely statistical perspective, even when serving warrants for serious charges, it is uncommon for a law enforcement officer to be hurt, but he also said every time officers serve a felony warrant like this, where the suspect could be facing many years behind bars if convicted, the potential for something to go wrong is a lot higher than during most other police activities.
Absolutely, especially if the suspect's behind the door. You can't see what's going on there. So thanks a lot for that perspective.
We appreciate it, Zach. Thank you so much. And all of you at home can stay with our continuing coverage at 11 Alive.
Thank you. It's good to see you. I like that outfit. Awesome.
How are you doing, Chief?
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Let's have you stand about right here. The lighting is better. How's that? Chief Shearbaum.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out so we could update the citizens of Atlanta on what transpired today and the condition of their police officer. I am joined by our Chief Operating Officer of the City of Atlanta, Lashondra Burks, as well as the U.S. Marshal for the Northern District of Georgia, U.S. Marshal Brown, our Sheriff, Patrick Obata is here, as well as Lieutenant Northart from the Georgia State Patrol. Back on August the 20th, the city experienced the loss of one of the citizens in a domestic violence-motivated homicide. We lost on that day Courtney Reeves. The very next day, the Atlanta Police Department issued arrest warrants for Derek Rankins, who we knew to be very dangerous and posing a threat to this community. This morning, the Southeastern Fugitive Task Force, led by the U.S. Marshals, which is comprised of members of the Atlanta Police Department, as well as the Georgia State Patrol, went to a location in Stockbridge, Georgia, where we believe Mr. Rankins to be held up. At that location, Mr. Rankins opened fire on members of the Fugitive Task Force. During that exchange of gunfire, a member of this department, an 18-year veteran assigned to our fugitive unit, was injured. And thankfully, those injuries are not life-threatening. And I thank God for having the hand of protection of our officers today and the phenomenal staff of Grady Hospital for their work in providing medical care, which they continue to do behind us. Fortunately, no other members of law enforcement were injured. At this point, the suspect who we were seeking to take into custody is deceased, and the Georgia State Patrol, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation will be conducting an investigation into this officer-involved shooting. I do want to take time to thank the Sheriff of Henry County, Sheriff Scandrett, who used the helicopter of that department to transport our investigator from the scene of the shooting here to Grady Hospital so medical care could be rendered. And so at this point, our one investigator we believe will make a full recovery. I want to commend him for his bravery today. I want to commend every member of the Atlanta Police Department that reports to duty keeps this city safe. And just thank our partners who you see gathered around us who has arrived to show support and has been key in this operation today as we sought to take this individual into custody. And U.S. Marshal Brown, I'm going to turn it over to him to give comments at this time.
Thank you, Chief. The U.S. Marshal Service is comprised of a number of officers in addition as certified U.S. Marshal deputies, but police officers and sheriff deputies from throughout the metropolitan Atlanta area. Atlanta Police Department is a huge contributor to that task force, and we thank them for that. We could not do our job without their assistance as well as the other law enforcement assistance. U.S. Marshals serve some 2,000 warrants a year that normally result in about 200 arrests of individuals for murder per year. This was one of those individuals that we wanted to get off of the street. We were able to do that successfully. We are so glad, and we are continuing to pray for the Atlanta officer that was wounded in this, but we could not do the job that we do had it not been for the dedicated men and women of law enforcement throughout the metropolitan Atlanta area, and it just points to how sensitive and how dangerous this line of work is. So, Chief Shambo, we can't do it without you. Thank you for being a part of our task force in the city of Atlanta, and turn it back over.
Well, thank you, Marshal Brown. We appreciate you, Sheriff Labatt, the Georgia State Patrol for the partnership, so we all do keeping our city safe. Open for any questions that you all may have now at this time.
We've seen so many instances of law enforcement being involved in these either search warrant cases or whatnot to put their lives actually on the line, as in this case. Has this impacted how you all handle procedures and protocols now with seemingly a bolder take when it comes to confronting law enforcement?
You know, this is a dangerous job, and I'm so thankful men and women every day say yes to this profession, to protect this city, this county, and communities across the region. We have seen 2 members of law enforcement in the past week and a half lose their life, and our prayers continue to go out to Paulding County and to Carroll County. This is what we train for. We recruit men and women who have a quality to stand in the gap for their communities. We train weekly and regularly to make sure when an individual who poses harm to the community doesn't want to go back to jail, that we can do so with the least risk to the citizens in the area, that individual, and law enforcement. This is what we train for. But I'm very thankful for men and women, particularly the Atlanta Police Department, that serve the city, and very thankful that our investigator is going to make a full recovery.
So your protocols, procedures have not changed due to this recent uptick in law enforcement involved shootings?
Our training is always in a state of evolution for perfection and for betterment, and so it does not take one incident. We learn from all incidents, and we're always in a state of improving.
Was the suspect shot from a self-inflicted wound that was coming off?
Yeah, the investigation will determine that. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation will assume the next phase to determine how this individual's lost his life, and that will be one of the areas we will investigate. Was it self-inflicted?
What do you say to these perpetrators who feel like, you know, they're one against the world, that you know, they don't really treat you guys with the respect even when you show up in numbers like this?
Well, our job is to teach everyone with respect and to make sure justice is done. And for individuals that may think they're going to continue to break the law and place communities at risk, you see a strong coalition of law enforcement that stands behind me and that is present throughout our region. Men and women of integrity, as who wear the uniform of law enforcement, we're going to take someone into custody, whoever they may be, whoever dangerous they may be, for the sake of our communities.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, man, that's the end of that video. You know, like I said before, I really do hate that did happen to her, and I do wish that he would have been alive to go ahead and go through all of the full motions and get his life taken away by the system versus going like this. But hell, who's to say that the system didn't take him out? Because the police don't know who did it right now. But overall, ultimately, you know, I do feel like that she did get her justice. If that was him, he definitely deserved what he got, in my personal opinion, and it is what it is, you know. I mean, people are saying it's about money, they saying it's about this, they saying it's about that. We don't know. Whatever the case may be, she was a mother with 3 children. If she didn't cause nobody to lose their life, I don't feel like she should have lost her life. Money and things like that can be replaced if that was the case, but nah, that ain't it. But yeah, man, let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything, and I will holler at y'all later on another video.